If you've ever asked what a website should cost for your business, you've heard everything from $99 to $15,000. And here's the part that drives me crazy. Nobody gives you a straight answer. You go to one agency. They quote you $5,000. You find a freelancer online. They quote you $300. You Google it, and every article says, it depends. I build websites for small businesses in Houston. Bars, security companies, garages, DJs, environmental labs. I've built all of it. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you the actual numbers, what each price really buys you, the stuff that gets quietly left out of most quotes, and the one question that tells you exactly which tier your business needs. Stick around, because the most expensive mistake I see isn't buying the big package. It's paying twice for the same website. Here's what nobody tells you up front. The reason that range is so wide is that a website is not one product. That $99 quote and that $15,000 quote are not the same thing. At different price points, they are three completely different products that happen to share a name. Once you understand that, the pricing stops being confusing. There's do-it-yourself software. There's a template someone builds for you. And there's a site that's custom built around your specific business. Each one exists for a different type of business, at a different stage. None of them is automatically a ripoff, and none of them is automatically the right answer. It all comes down to what your business actually needs right now. So let's walk through all three. Real numbers, no fluff. First, the do-it-yourself builders. Wix, Squarespace, GoDaddy's Site Builder. These are software subscriptions. $15 to $50 a month, so somewhere between $180 and $600 a year. The software itself is genuinely decent these days. You can put together something that looks presentable without knowing how to code. But here's what that price tag doesn't show you. You are now the web designer. You're dragging blocks around at midnight trying to figure out why your logo looks wrong on a phone. Every update, every change, every time you want to add a new service, that's you. You already have a business to run, and now you've added web designer to your job description. The other thing I run into constantly with DIY builders is showing up on Google. These platforms have gotten better at it, but you're fighting uphill. Most of the stuff that actually moves the needle on search, site speed, structured data, proper technical setup, requires you to dig into settings most business owners never touch because they don't even know those settings exist. And the one that really gets people? Platform lock-in. I've moved businesses off these builders where the domain they paid for was so tangled inside the platform that transferring it was a whole project. Some of these platforms make leaving genuinely painful. By design. You don't find that out until you're trying to get out. When is DIY right? Brand new business, near zero budget, you need to exist online this week. That's a legitimate use case. Start there, but know exactly what you bought. Second product. Someone builds it for you from a professional template. Freelancer, entry-level agency package, typically $500 to $2,500, paid once. For a lot of small businesses, this is genuinely good value. You get something that looks professional, you didn't spend your weekends on it, and it costs a fraction of a custom build. I'm not going to knock this tier. For the right business, at the right stage, it's the right answer. But here's what almost always gets skipped at this price point, and it's the stuff you can't see in the demo. First, the words. Most builders at this price hand you a template and ask you to fill in your own copy. Writing compelling, search-friendly content about your own business is hard, and most people end up with placeholder-quality text that doesn't actually convert visitors into customers. Second, the search basics. Page titles, site speed, mobile optimization, the invisible foundation of whether your site ever shows up when someone Googles you. Most template builds at this price rush or skip this entirely. Third, and this is the big one, maintenance. Who updates this site in 6 months when you change your hours? Who fixes it when something breaks? The number one story I hear from business owners who come to me for a rebuild, the guy who built it disappeared. No response to emails, phone goes to voicemail, and now they've got a site that's been sitting untouched for 2 years. If you go this route, ask one question before you sign anything. Who maintains this after launch, and what does that cost? The answer tells you everything about what you're actually buying. Third product. A site built from scratch around your specific business, by people who actually stick around. This is the 2500 and up range, and before you close the video at that number, hear what it's actually for. This tier only makes sense when your website has a real job to do. Taking online reservations, generating quote requests, showing tonight's events and specials, collecting job applications, letting customers book appointments. When the site is doing active work for your business, not just sitting there as a digital business card, that's when this makes sense. I've built sites for a Houston bar that needed to drive event reservations, a security company that needed a quote pipeline, a garage that needed to show a portfolio and take appointment requests, an environmental lab that needed to rebuild its credibility after years with a dead site. Every one of those sites has a job, and that job has a real dollar value. Every reservation the bar gets through the site, every security quote that comes in online, that's money the business wouldn't have seen otherwise. At this price, you should be getting strategy. Someone who asks what the site needs to do before building a single page. Professional copy, a real technical foundation for search, a site that loads fast on a phone in a parking lot. And after launch, someone you can actually reach when something needs to change. That last part, the ongoing relationship, is most of what you're paying for at this tier, and it's exactly what the cheaper options quietly drop. One thing to watch for: if a quote in this range doesn't include strategy, copy, SEO setup, and ongoing support, that's not a custom site. That's a template with a markup on it. Whatever tier you go with, budget for the stuff that doesn't show up in the quote. The domain, the address people type to find you, runs about $10 to $20 a year. Own it yourself, not through your developer. Hosting, where the site actually lives, is $5 to $50 a month, depending on how it's built. Business email at your own domain. If you're still giving people a Gmail address on your business card, fix that. It costs almost nothing, and it instantly makes your business look more established. Photos. Real pictures of your actual business. Your team, your space, your work. Beat stock photos every single time. Customers can tell immediately when a site is using generic images, and it makes the whole thing feel fake. And maintenance. The pattern I see over and over is what I call the cheap site that cost $4,000, $600 to build it, then years of neglect, then paying someone to rebuild it properly. Paying twice is always the most expensive option. So what should you actually pay? Here's the one question that gives you the answer. Does your website just need to exist, or does it need to work? If it just needs to exist, a DIY builder or a freelancer template is a completely legitimate choice. A few hundred to a couple $1,000s, and that's the right answer for where you are. If it needs to work, if it's supposed to be doing something active for your business beyond just having an address, most Houston small businesses end up well served somewhere in the $1,500 to $5,000 range done properly. More if the site is doing serious heavy lifting. That's the honest number. And if you want that answer for your specific business, not a package pitch, just, here's what I'd build for you and here's what it costs, go to nerdsystems.com. Tell me what you do. I'll give you the straight answer on what your business actually needs and what it doesn't. Thanks for watching. If this was useful, there's more on the channel. Real numbers, real talk, no fluff.